Aloha, Scott Sylvan Bell coming to you live from Sacramento, California, May 30th, 2016, I don't know, 2:15 in the afternoon. Perfect day to talk about sales training. Now I have a question for you. Is it possible to tell someone's skills by asking them a couple questions to calibrate? Okay. Is it possible to tell someone's sales skills by asking a couple questions to calibrate where they're at? Now I bring this up because I was watching this video with Dan Kennedy, brilliant dude, and he was talking at the Titans of Direct Response, and he said, look, I can tell what type of copywriter somebody is based upon the conversations that they have, okay? Now, I want to let you in on a secret that this is true. I can tell what type of a salesperson you are based upon the conversations you have with me. So one of the things that'll happen is when someone says, hey, Scott, I need some help, I need some coaching, I want to ask a lot of questions. Now, one of the words that comes up that triggers some flags for me, that makes me go, wait a minute, we got something to think about here, we got something to talk about, is when the person keeps saying competitive, competitive bid, competitive pricing, competitive. And what happens is this tells me that that person sells on price. Now, for the most part, most industries are not price dominated like you would think. Now, most people will say, well, you know, the buyers always complain about price. Well, of course the buyer's going to complain about price. It's the one thing that they can complain about that knows that it can get underneath the salesperson's skin and create some challenges. So you're like, but Scott, how does competitive tell me that? Okay, so here's the thing. If you have a product, a service, a widget, a gizmo, something that you're selling, and you're going up against the competition, what's the one word that you're going to hear from the buyer? Well, is your price competitive, right? And you, just like me, I don't want to just point at you like oh, look, you, me. If we start buying into the price is what makes somebody's decision, then that's what we're going to sell to. That's what I would sell to. And like, hi, my name is Scott. I've screwed up. I've done this, okay? I want to help you out. It's your job to make your information important, just like it's my job to make the information important. And when you do your job as a salesperson, like all this stuff about price goes out the window. And you're like, but Scott, you know what? Price is important. Oh yeah, it is. But like it always ranks out like number 4 or 5 on the list of what buyers want compared to everything else, right? First off, they want quality. Then they want like, you know, service. And then they want like longevity. And then like, you know, price is somewhere down here. But the reason that they talk about it is they know it's the one thing that they can talk about and have this conversation. The second thing is it's always brought up in negotiation classes. I don't care what negotiation class you go to. I don't care who puts it on. They're always going to tell you, you got to ask for a better deal. Why? Oh, because you got to. Okay, why? Because it scares salespeople, silly. That's why. So here's the thing. If you're buying into like, oh, my price isn't competitive, my price isn't competitive. You know what you're going to do in that sales process every time you meet with a buyer? You are going to talk about price. And guess what? Now all of a sudden you're going to have to deal with price matching, discounting, explaining your price away when you really didn't have to. So my challenge for you is if you have the word competitive anywhere in your process that you're talking about, like, oh yeah, my price is competitive. You have just negated everything that you have built up. And you're like, but Scott, that's not true. No, think about it. Really. Take the time and think about this. If you keep talking about, oh, I got competitive this, I got competitive rates, I got competitive pricing, you are now selling on price. I'm going to let that sink in. Hey, I'm just kidding. You probably thought for a second, hey, did he hit pause? Nope, I was standing there waiting for you. If you're telling people I've got competitive this, competitive that, competitive this, you are now selling on price. You have agreed to their premise. Now that's a challenge because now you got to sell on price. You're like, Scott, does that really happen? Try it out. Take it out of your vocabulary. The next time someone goes, hey, you know what? Are you competitively priced? Ask them compared to what? What are we stacking up here? And you're going to see them, they're not going to answer that question. They're going to, I don't know. I don't know. So, you know what? Part of the thing is like sometimes when somebody asks you a question, you know, in the old school sales world, they call this a prickly porcupine. Your job is to take that question and go, well, I don't want it, and give it back to them. But most salespeople don't know how to like stop talking. They think like, if I just keep talking through this, I'm going to be okay. You know what happens when you keep talking? You get in trouble. It's like, you know, if you get pulled over, the rule is to say the bare minimum. Sometimes it's the same way when a buyer asks you a question. They're like, well, what about this? Are you competitive? Well, what are we comparing this to? Well, I need to know what your reference point is. Well, you know, XYZ company is a whole lot less. Oh, yeah. You want to know why? And you know what they're going to say? Yes, I do. Why? And then you're going to be able to tell them, okay? So if the word competitive is in your vocabulary and you are in an industry where that doesn't matter, which is about 99.9 of them, take it out of your vocabulary and watch what happens, okay? Competitive, if you're putting it in there, you're buying into the premise of the buyer. Now, if you could do a small favor for me, in the box down below, leave a comment, question, or story. That would be fantastic. To the right, to the left, there's a subscribe button. You know what you got to do. You got to subscribe. And then you can send it out to all your friends via StumbleUpon, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. Why not even LinkedIn? Scott Sylvan Bell. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Aloha.